now within our own community, as is going on in every community, restaurants are in a time that they have never been through before. Thanks for coming in, man.
Oh, thank you for having us.
And thanks for the unbelievable food. We are massive Rendezvous fans.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
And
it's a very interesting time, to say the least. We're officially closed. Our dining room's closed. We're still doing takeout, a little bit of catering, carry out. We're probably representative of most of the restaurants in the city. There was a big meeting with the Restaurant Association the other day, call in with Kelly English and Ernie Miller and some other people. And, it's going to be very difficult. If anybody thinks this is a 2-week thing, I think they're crazy. I'd take 30 days in a second, but it's probably going to be 60 days. And so all of us are confronted with a lot of things. Number one, first of all, tomorrow is payroll day. Friday is sales tax day. So every restaurant, every small business in the state will be paying its sales tax on Friday. For us, on April 1st is a $30,000 health insurance payment. So all of us are trying to figure out, how do we pay our rent, our utilities, our fixed costs, and what are we going to do with employees? I mean, we've got employees that have been, 30, 40, 50 years. And so it's going to be very difficult. I think all the restaurants are doing a little bit of carry out and curbside pickup, and I think they're trying to generate just enough, some income to pay these fixed costs. But it's going to be difficult. I'm not sure if all will survive when it's said and done.
Did you leave that restaurant association meeting scared?
I was scared going into it.
You were scared going into it.
Yeah, I mean, this has been building for a while. I mean, we had a meeting with our staff last Thursday, and, we've been watching our sales dip as is everyone else, and I finally said to them that we'll close when we're ordered to close, or we're closed when we open up the doors and all of a sudden nobody comes in. But we made the decision yesterday that it was just time to close. And
you, unlike with the Rendezvous, which has been such a special place, it has also been one of the grand tourist destinations in this city, and that market is gone completely, right? Like, it's not just right, like, and it is a blessing to be in the position that you are in, where people come to Memphis and they want to go to the Rendezvous, but the truth is nobody's coming to Memphis because they're not going anywhere.
Well, we have been, we've been in business a long time, and so we've been real blessed, and, this is our only location. But it's not just the restaurants. The hotel occupancy is way down. A friend of mine called me from Dallas. It went down to the AAC tournament last Saturday to find out or last Thursday, find out it was canceled. So he decided to make a weekend of it, and he called me, wanted to know how my business is. I said, well, it's okay. Because last Saturday we did a little business. He said, I'm in this very big, large, expensive Mexican restaurant in the high-rent district of Dallas, and it seats 250 people, and there are 5 people here. And he said, I'm also staying at the Ritz-Carlton, and the occupancy this weekend is 30%, next weekend is 10%, and the weekend after that is 4%. So it's pretty scary.
What was the outcome of that restaurant association meeting of Memphis business owners, and kind of what? I'm sure you guys are sharing ideas and then discussing what we can do.
Well, first of all, I think that all of us are going to lay off our employees for purposes of their getting unemployment. We could still pay some, but if you do that, it'll offset unemployment. There's a committee that's trying to meet with the state to make it as efficient as possible for these employees to get unemployment.
So that's what you have found is best for the employees, rather than you trying to, right? Because, I mean, look, these people, in many cases, many people that work for you are working on tips.
Yeah.
And so there's no way to guesstimate, what somebody is making doing that. And certainly if you paid them their hourly wage isn't enough to live.
Right. Well, we don't want to pay them if it's going to affect the unemployment. Now, what we may do is put some money aside in a fund so when they come back to work.
Right.
And we are still, trying to pay our key employees, which we have quite a few. There's
people that have been employed at your restaurant for
we have 2 employees that have been there almost 50 years. We've had 3 that have retired after 50 years.
Unbelievable.
And we're very fortunate.
Yeah.
I mean,
50 years working the same place.
Yeah, I know.
That's unbelievable.
I know. Somebody said they can't be too miserable if they're there for 50 years. But there's also a GoFundMe campaign that they're starting to, and I think the employees have to they're trying to raise $150,000 to pay something to the tipped employees. I think there's some people looking to see if your insurance covers loss of business income. I don't think that's probably going to be, as a retired lawyer, I don't think that's going to work. People, everybody, as a matter of fact, if the restaurants that are still open, and I urge everybody, after you get tired of your own cooking, if you feel like going out, you're going to find the cleanest restaurants that you've ever seen in the city of Memphis. I mean, everybody is sanitized and re-sanitized, and every surface is clean. And I mean, well, you've got
most all have closed, because with every coming day, they're saying less and less people want to be gathering and trying to practice social distancing. Yeah. But you, like many in the city, are still making food.
Well, we're cooking every day, and we're doing it minimally staffed, and so we're hoping people, if they want some barbecue, will come by. They can just zip right down and get it to go, or call us, and we'll meet them in the alley. The other thing that affects us a little bit is we have a contract with the Grizzlies to provide all the barbecue, so we have 40 employees there.
They work at the games.
At the games, so they're unemployed, and we're trying to see if they're not eligible for unemployment. We're saying about trying to pay them some money.
Because what people don't understand is when you see restaurants or whoever in a partnership with the arena, you are responsible for.
Correct.
Right? Like, yes, you are responsible for those employees. You want your own people running and representing your own restaurant, right? Rather than somebody leasing it out. And so, that's a whole nother deal that you've got to deal with right now, because there's not games that are going on. But people can, I suppose they can go to the website, right?
Yes, hogsfly.com.
And you've got information there, and people can still get carry out.
Absolutely. And we're still shipping our ribs. If somebody has a friend or a friend that's bored somewhere and needs a taste of Memphis, we can FedEx ribs overnight to people. So, that's why I said, we're probably a little better off than so many of our colleagues, because we do have a little bit of side business that we ship, although that's it's pales in comparison to what the restaurant does. So
it doesn't pay the rent.
No, well, we hope that it does, but I don't think it will. Yeah.
And your rent has got to be, you've had that place in the alley forever. That's good real estate, man.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be real interesting to see the spin-off of all of these effects. I do find it interesting, and not to beat up Delta Airlines, because they've had a great run over, but they've gotten hit in 3 weeks, and they're immediately looking for a bailout. And restaurants that pay their taxes and pay their help in pillars of the community. I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about all of my colleagues. I would, if I could do the slightest bit of politicking, I would think that ought to be the primary target, is to try to get some funds in the hands of all these people that are in the hospitality industry, because this country, it's not a manufacturing society. We're a service-oriented society. So that's we need to.
And your family, the Vergos family, I mean, this started. I mean, we were talking earlier. Everybody knows about the Rendezvous. Everybody knows, and it's got a name literally worldwide. And yet, it started like with hot dog stands, and like your grandfather. It's 100 years ago.
Yeah, my grandfather had a hot dog stand about 50 yards from where we speak, and the slaw that we serve was the same slaw he used to put on his hot dogs. So, here we are 100 years later, and
same recipe?
Exact same recipe. And so here we are 100 years later eating the same slaw that he used to put on his hot dogs just around the corner from here. So it's funny how it's full circle.
I you know what I mean? Look, I've gotten, I think we all have. You get so anxious, you get so nervous for so many people you care about deeply, and then you think about, you're a great representative today to come in because you guys have a name that is synonymous with this city, and here you are with all of these employees. You got, it's a massive business in this town that everybody knows the name, and it's scary times, man, for you and for everybody else, because God forbid, hopefully people can still support these businesses as much as they possibly can, because though we're all going through this right now with the scare, Memphians and Memphis has always, I have found, and it's why I've stayed here and loved here, is because they take so much pride in their own. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they take care of their own, and they root for their own. And now you see all of these businesses, and I see so many, that they're scared, man. They don't know. None of us know when this is going to get better, especially when they keep going on TV saying the worst is still ahead of us. And so I'm hopeful.
My daughter's stating over there, and I think she told you at the very beginning that, my being here is not an effort to promote the Rendezvous, but to kind of tell what's going on in my industry. And first of all, I think Memphis is a great foodie city. I mean, they're great restaurants. And somebody will say, "Well, you got the best ribs, and I say, "Man, there's good barbecue all over Memphis," and I know because I eat it.
Sure.
I mean, I know, some days I'm up for barbecue shop, some days I'm up for a top, some days,
It's the hardest question I get. I get it once a week on Twitter. People asking me, "Hey, I'm coming through Memphis. Where should I go?"
Yeah, I mean, it depends.
I say, man, just pick one, man.
Yeah, it just depends what you're in the mood for.
Look right, look left. I promise. Yeah, there's a 95% chance it's going to be good.
Yeah, and a real Memphian can probably tell the difference between Payne's or Corky's or barbecue shop. Just it's the easiest taste test if you ever go through it about which barbecue is which.
Yep. So what are you doing now? You just sitting around stressed out like the rest of us?
Well, I'm not sleeping a lot.
Because your life, I mean, much like these basketball players, your life, and all of us for that, man. Now we're coming in and doing the show, so we still have we get up and I'm still going and we're still planning out what we're going to be doing, but yours is worried about that restaurant, right? Every day of your life, you wake up thinking about the Rendezvous and what we got going on, and
today we're trying to get the forms together for employees to do unemployment to make it as easy as possible. Today is the day that we write checks, so I'm going through to find out not paying him, not paying this one, pay this one, pay this one.
I mean, that's the reality.
You're trying to prioritize who needs to be paid and who needs to wait a week or so. Making sure that, we're still serving food, so making sure the food that we're serving, I mean, you get a taste of it. I think it's still pretty good. We're watching it carefully.
What it tastes like? It tastes like the Rendezvous.
Yeah, well, that's what it's supposed to taste like. And, I'm on constant emails and texts with colleagues or, coming up with different thoughts and ideas. But, there's no magic bullet other than time. And, let's hope that Memphis being in the center part of the country is not going to be as inundated as New York City or L.A. or Seattle. As a matter of fact, my son just moved back from New York the other day, and he's a stand-up comedian, and he also has his part-time job. He's a tour guide, and he just thought, number one, there are not going to be many tours. Number two, if there are, maybe it's not healthy to be with a bunch of people from countries that have been infected and all the comedies. So he just said, what the heck am I doing here? I'm just going to...
What's your son's first name?
Charlie Vergos.
Well, we're going to go look him up.
Yeah. No,
I got to see his act.
Yeah, so he's going to come home.
Are you proud of it, or do you sit there and go, "Oh, Charlie"?
No, we well, except when he takes pot shots at me occasionally, but his act is clean. He's very funny. He's very topical. He talks. One of his topics is he talks about growing up in Memphis, and he never mentions a Rendezvous, but he said his family owned a barbecue restaurant, how he's barbecue rich. He said, which is not really rich, but it's like winning a fee with a mesothelioma or winning some Price is Right. That's the kind of rich he said he is.
I like barbecue rich.
Yeah, so he
good bit.
So he came home so his mama can take care of him.
That's hilarious. Yeah. All right, so now you guys, people can still get the Rendezvous. Have you ever, John Vergos, been through anything like this?
No, I don't want to say how old I am, but I get Social Security. I was born after World War II, so I don't know what that was like. But economically, I mean, this makes 9/11 just seems like an appendectomy
compared to what it did.
Yeah, and the 2008 crash, it affected all of us, but I don't think people have personally felt it as much as this one. And everybody's going to feel it, but of course the lower income, the wage earner, the tip people are going to feel it more than others, and they're going to feel it quicker. I mean, it's going to happen to them very quickly.
Well, because they can't do their job.
Right.
They can't. They cannot do their job, right? Like there are some people that are choosing not to do their job. They can't.
Yeah, they're unlike high-paid sports broadcasters that make a fortune. They're not in that kind of an advantageous position.
You know any? They can give me some tips.
You're sports broadcasting rich.
Maybe they can give me some tips. All right.
But you have nothing to talk about right now.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Tom Brady's a Buccaneer, John Vergos. What are you talking about? Who would have ever thought we'd see him wearing orange? Yeah. Never. In a million years. If there was anything, the whole world's gone mad. If there was anything I thought I'd see till the end of time, it was Tom Brady being a Patriot.
Yeah.
I mean,
I do have to tell you a story. I was in the first leadership class of Leadership Memphis, and there was a person in our class named Barbara Lapidus, and her husband was George, and I'd never met George before, and I remember telling Barbara, and I used to always read him when he was with the Pressimeter and whatever, and I said, I really appreciate your husband. I think he's a great journalist. And she said, he'd be so proud that you said he's a great journalist instead of saying just a sports writer. And so that's what I think about all you guys right now, because there's no sports that y'all actually are journalists. You just happen to be reporting on sports, but today you're reporting on the plight of the restaurant industry. So all your skills are going to be put to the test.
Are they ever? Hey, same way as with a lot of people. We don't know when anything's coming back. Well, there's no timeline on any of this. I mean, sports is so far down the list in terms of, and you got to get 1 million people on the same page to try to figure out how you resume this stuff.
If you run out of topics, you can have me back to go through my high school sports career.
Nobody wants to hear that.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
Look, I can only imagine your son would be rolling his eyes.
Yeah, no.
Right? You're probably like my father, which is like, will you just listen to me? Yeah, I said, Dad, I've been listening to you my whole life. He tells me the same stories.
Were you surprised the PGA canceled?
I was surprised the Masters did.
Yeah.
If there's anybody in the free world that has just decided they don't care about anything that society says about them.
That really surprised me.
They've done no commercials.
Yeah.
They said, we ain't letting no women in. We ain't doing that. Like, they don't. If there's anybody that's insulated themselves from any social pressure, it's those dudes.
Was it the locker room situation that
it's
you
just
think?
everything. The players aren't going to play. Nobody's going to play. And you can't. And it's a gathering. There's just no way. Even like when they were talking about trying to do NBA games
with no crowds.
With no crowd. Well, look, they said now the CDC saying they encourage everybody to be in no groups bigger than 50 people.
Yeah.
If you just had the teams, the trainers, the coaches, the cameramen, the broadcasters, you're way more than 50 with no fans. Way more.
And the personal assistants?
Yes. Yeah. 50 with no fans. I mean, you got way more than that. And so that until the norm becomes it's okay to, or for most people to think that you can get in groups of less than 50, I think it's going to be a long time. John, I hope everything works out with y'all as I do with all of these Memphis businesses, because you guys have been a staple and a pillar here for so many years, and I know this sucks. There's no way around it.
Well, thank you for having us on to talk about it, because I even though I think the public knows, but rather than hear it from somebody that's going through it. And I'm just representative of all of my colleagues, but we appreciate it.
It's the best food I've eaten in a week.
Well, thank you.
Easy. And then, you know what? Before that, I was glad I got to take my son. Now, in retrospect, I took my son to the game, and we got barbecue nachos.
Oh, you did?
We did get barbecue nachos at the game. Rendezvous BBQ nachos. Right before our season ended up getting postponed.